Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our October Town Hall meeting. Thanks for attending. We're going to leave it a minute or so as people join in, and then we'll get started. So make yourselves comfortable.
How about Ajax? We want to talk about a dominating performance.
I don't.
You don't?
Or a decline in Borussia Dortmund.
Hey, come on.
Okay, Ben, we're about 150 people on. Do you want to get started?
Let's go.
Okay, just a little housekeeping before we do. As always, we have the Q&A and the chat function there. If anyone has questions as we go through, please put them in the Q&A. Nina will moderate that. We'll address some questions as we go through, but we'll also have a time at the end that's open for questions and answers as well. All right, Ben.
Yeah, and Tobias, I can answer the first question. Yes, we do have some winter trout date information will be coming. All right, hello everyone. Thanks for coming. This is the agenda. Won't go through it piece by piece because each film will have a presentation about it. But that's what we will be discussing today. We want to start this presentation in town hall with discussing sportsmanship. Obviously, the last few weeks we've been sending stuff out on Fridays and Saturdays and focusing on sportsmanship. And so we are going to continue to do that. And we think that especially during these times of with the pandemic and the pressure that it's put all of us, our society, our sport, probably jobs and families, nations under, it's time for us all to sort of step back and reflect on our behavior and the behavior of our club members. And so our hope is that everyone is able to take a deep breath and encourage everybody in their club to respect the game. It's an incredible game that's a worldwide game, and it's something that if you see a child approach a ball and see what the joy that it brings to a youngster before they're even aware that it is a game, it's just a fascinating sport, and it's one that I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it. But it's worldwide. It's a game that connects us. And so it's vital that we as an organization and all of your clubs are trying to adhere to a very high level. I have fallen short often. My last act in CYSA and my last game, I actually got a red card. And the referee had told me, if you say that one more time, you'll be removed. It was a state cup game, under 13 girls, Sonoma County Alliance against San Ramon. We were about to upset them, and they got a penalty kick. And I complained. The referee came over and said, if you say one more thing, you're out of here. And I said, one more thing. So he tossed me. So I fall short of it. And but I think there's a level that in that case, it was a little bit of a sense of humor, not making a excuse for it, but we do fall short, but we need to make sure that there's a line that we never cross. And that is what has happened recently, enough that we have said we need to have a campaign to change behavior. Respect the officials. We have right now, I went on this morning to the pad call just to sit in and listen. And there was an incident with a 17-year-old referee. They talked about the center ref waving off the lines linesmen, younger referees that are assisting, but the senior referee might not, when they raise their flag, might blow them off. So there's so much going on right now with referees. We need to make sure that we're trying to respect the officials. We have a shortage of officials. And so again, we can't scare off young kids that are entering the game, or people that are getting older and are just had enough. But we have an extreme shortage, which we are attacking. It's a nationwide shortage. I think NorCal Premier and our clubs are further ahead than the rest of the country in terms of dealing with it, but we can't drive officials out of the game at this time. The sideline conduct of coaches and parents. The club is responsible. Ultimately, we're all responsible, but the club is responsible for the sideline conduct of coaches and parents. Coaches are, during a game, responsible for the conduct of the parents, and parents are obviously also responsible for themselves. But this is something that we're getting things that come to us from all across the board from different clubs, and it's vital that everybody communicates with their parent groups and their members to make sure that the sideline conduct is being led properly. And then player behavior. I listened to one pad complaint that came from a coach that I don't know how much experience they had with the sport, but and I haven't seen the video. I'm going to request the video, but they talked about it was just a normal challenge that a player got injured with. But there are also players that are going bonkers and losing the script. Part of it might be the pressure of trying to get promoted or move up or not get relegated or from winning a game, but that's always there. And so it's a reason that sport is such a great way to teach life lessons to children. It's because it puts us in positions of pressure, and we win, we lose, and have everything in between. And so it's vital that we, as the leaders of the game, everyone on this call, as leaders of the game, need to exhibit and demand that we respect the game, and everybody involved in our club does. So again, I'm not saying this, I'm saying this humbly as somebody that has failed at times to do so. But then redoubled my efforts to be somebody that respects the game. I actually got to the point, I read John Wooden used to hold a wooden cross in his hand, which I started to hold a pen in my hand, and to make sure as a reminder to relax and to actually saw the game better, and became a better coach when I did that. So you'll hear this throughout this presentation, sportsmanship. But our hope is that everybody leaves this and redoubles their efforts to make sure that their players, coaches, and parents are behaving in this regard. That's it.
Great, thank you, Ben. All right, a few updates from outside from the last time we spoke. So we had some board of director elections recently, and we'd like to welcome Andy Hulbert and Ahmed Dossi onto the board. Andy Hulbert from AFC in Region 4 and Ahmed from Blues FC in Region 6. They replace Albertine Montoya and Rick Fullerton, who we'd like to thank for their years of service on the board. Both of their terms expired, and Andy and Ahmed have joined. Rick has also recently become a staff member, leaving the board to become a staff member. So we have 2 new staff members since the start of the season. So Rick has taken on the role of club services coordinator, a position that Nick Lusson previously held, and you'll hear from him shortly on some updates in that area. And then Kelsey Chides, who has previously worked with NorCal as regional league coordinator, is the new MPL and pre-MPL commissioner, who started in August, I believe. Over the next couple of months, we'll also be hiring a recreational soccer coordinator. So you would have seen that this year we're running a Super Rec competition divisions in Region 6. And this is an area that we want to help clubs more in. So we'll be advertising for this position shortly and looking to hire someone into the position over the winter, primarily to help clubs either develop grassroots or recreational programs in their clubs, or to improve those programs if they already exist. So providing a lot of resources to clubs to help in that area. So if that's something you'd be interested in, look out for the application. It'll be out probably within the next week. AGM. We're going to be back in person for our AGM in 2022, thankfully. And we'll be hosting it at COPA Soccer Training Center in Walnut Creek, who you would have seen as a new partner of ours this year, as our sports science partner. If anyone, for those of you who have visited the facility, it's an outstanding facility. A lot of high-end sports science technology, but also a great facility to host an event such as the AGM. So we'll be hosting on Sunday, March 6th. We'll be there all day and we'll have the entire facility to use. So it won't be like previously when we're in a hotel and we just have a ballroom and a couple of meeting rooms. We'll be able to use the entire facility. So you can see on the left-hand side there, there's some things we're going to add to what we normally do. We're going to add some coach education. We'll bring in some guest presenters alongside, some of our normal committee meetings and club development seminars. But we'll also be on the field. So the coach education will be one part of it. We'll have an RAC five-a-side tournament, which will speak to the RACs about, getting your teams together over the coming months. But we'll have a little bit of competition there. There'll be skills challenges with prizes. So go and compete in the skills cube or the skills lab and set your highest scores. And it's also a good opportunity to meet all of our sponsors and take part in any competitions and giveaways right there as well. So that's the date for your calendar, March 6th. The program will be all day. So we'll start in the morning, go through to the evening. Everything will be fully catered, and we'll be sending out some more information over the coming weeks and months on this. Ben, anything to add on this one?
Just Region 5 is already the directors and coaches have been talking about how they're going to dominate the five-a-side tournament. So they're already training for it, doing selections.
There you go. All right, Nina, over to you.
Hey, everybody. This is really, information for those that work within GOT Sport. I know it's not always you who are attending this meeting, DOCs and presidents primarily. However, I would very, very much appreciate if you would share this slide with your coaches, managers, whoever is working within the system, with scheduling, with rosters, etc. Anytime you can spread the word about our help pages, that is greatly appreciated. So we have our admin help page. You can see what it looks like on the right-hand side of this slide. Everything there, our instructions for all the stuff that's going on in GOT Sport. It's all new. We know there have been some, glitches and struggles along the way with the transition. We're working very hard with GOT Sport to address these and hope, things are getting a little bit more smooth for everyone. The main thing I want to ask right now is that you make sure that your club page is updated so that we have your contact information. I get emails daily saying I'm not getting information. And then when I look, it's because I don't have an email with the proper title. So we have 4 titles there listed. If you don't have people listed in those titles, I need for you to take care of that or to instruct your registrar, whoever does it. There are some new instructions on this page that we've had some questions about how can I add myself in 2 roles if I'm the referee assigner and the DOC. We now have instructions there for you to be able to do that. Your logo should be in there and your website. Unfortunately, there's not a mechanism for you to fix your website. So if it's not correct on your page, please email me and I will take care of that for you. The other thing is that you should have by now signed our club certification form, either the DOC or president of each club. You can find out whether you've done it by the instructions on this slide. It says follow these steps. in blue there, and you just click that, follow the steps, and you'll see whether someone from your club has taken care of that. Also, just want to point out that we have staff members who are assigned to different parts of our organization, obviously. So if you're looking for an answer about coach education or about NorCal State Cup, you know, U9 to U13, please try to contact the appropriate staff member so that you can get your answer as quickly as possible. We really do try to answer within 24 hours, but sometimes if we have to shuffle it around to a bunch of different people to get the right answers, it takes a little bit longer. We appreciate you. Thank you for all you do for your club and the kids. And if you have questions, never hesitate to send them over to me, njohnson@norcalpremier.com.
Thanks, Nina. We will send out this presentation afterwards. Everything in blue here is a hyperlink to the instructions that Nina referenced. So we'll make sure that you've got all of those links after the presentation. Okay, tryouts. We're going to be quick on this one. A lot of you may have seen in the handbook this year, we changed, or we added some language surrounding tryouts to make it more of a consistent window. Over the last few years, the windows have been very consistent generally. So what we did is we added some language to basically say that at the end of the season, after the last advertised NorCal game date for certain age groups, the tryout window opens, and it's open until the end of June. Similar with the winter recreational tryout window, which opens November 1st and goes through the first weekend in February. So those windows are set already. There's no discussion needed on them. The discussion for the RACs is whether each region wants to further define the dates within that mid-May to end of June window. So that would be one for the RACs to put on the agenda at the November meeting. But as far as the wider tryout window, that's already set. It was set in the summer. We anticipate that being an ongoing situation so that everyone can plan accordingly, and the RACs can address it each November if they want to further define those dates within the wider window. So the text on the right-hand side is a screenshot from the handbook. The link on the top left will, when you get the presentation, it will take you to that section of the handbook, so you can look at that a bit more closely if you'd like to. Okay, I believe we have Gabe Rude on here from US Club.
Yep.
Gabe,
thanks Andy and NorCal for giving us the opportunity to talk to the clubs. A lot has been going on. I'll try to get through this quickly because I know there's a lot of slides, but 30,000 feet, just want to give everyone a view of what's going on with US Club Soccer. Last Thursday, Friday, we had a meeting with GOT Sport. They flew out here, and we just went through the entire process that either a registrar, a coach, or even a parent would go through as they log into GOT Sport to go through the registration process. We felt that the registration process went relatively well for the transition this last year. And we feel that we're light years ahead of where we were in past transitions. So moving forward to next year, we just went through the process. We're going to try to make it even more efficient with GOT Sport. They welcomed our feedback. We got a lot of feedback from registrars, directors, coaches, and we passed it on to them. So everything from a coach going in and doing a background check to parents logging into their child's account. So we feel we came up with some pretty good ideas, and we think that next year will be even smoother. This last Monday, Tuesday, or actually the last 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, US Club Soccer's board of directors and our staff were all together in Charleston. So we are transitioning to a new CEO, Mike Kalina. Kevin Payne is still there, but he will be leaving shortly, and Mike is going to be taking over in the transition. So Mike got everyone together to really look at our mission, our core values, and just look at everything we do. It was a really productive 3 days and really insightful, where we broke into groups and, did a deep dive into players first, what it is, how to make it better. We're most likely going to be adding a few more pillars to players first, one of them being referee development, and then possibly even league development. So we're going to be continuing to look into all that. National Cup is going to be going on this June 11th through the 14th in Davis next summer. So we'll be in touch with more information about that. That hasn't been announced yet publicly, but verbally I'm telling you it's going to happen those dates. United Soccer Coaches Convention this year in Kansas City. This will be probably the first time U.S. Club Soccer is not holding a booth. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a hotel room. So if any of you are going and want to meet, we will be there with a meeting location. And then last thing, wanted to just update everyone with Matt Bernard. Matt has been assisting me and the Northern California area for the last, I think 8 years. An opportunity opened up for him within U.S. Club Soccer to take over the South Central. So really happy for Matt. He's going to be overseeing Texas and the surrounding states in that area. So yeah, very, very happy for him. So if you're needing help, Northern California, probably best to reach out to me, as Matt will be overseeing a different region now. In addition, U.S. Club Soccer, we actually have 2 job openings. They're on the U.S. Club Soccer webpage. I can put the link in the chat below. But the 2 positions are, one is club development and outreach coordinator. And then the other position is risk management, discipline, and appeals manager. So I'll put the link below. It has a job description. So I believe the club development and outreach, I think they're looking for someone actually to be in Charleston. But the risk management role, I think, can be remote. So if you or anyone who think would be a good candidate, the information will be, I'll post it in the link below.
Great. Thank you very much, Gabe. All right, Jason, over to you.
All right. Not a ton today compared to normal, but just a couple of items just to start with a fall update. Some of the challenges we've had this fall were we had a lot of games were smoked out at the beginning of the year. Additionally, obviously, we've still had COVID around, so there's been a lot of, some cancellations with those. Air quality or COVID cancellations are similar to a rain out where, it's a late cancellation. And do your best to get those games rescheduled, but we were expecting some of this to occur this year, and it's one of the reasons why we started a little bit earlier, to hopefully give a little bit more time to get everything played and more weekends available. As Ben went over, again, sportsmanship and the referee shortage have been challenges, especially on the referee shortage side. There have been some games that have had to been canceled because there's just not enough referees. And I'm sure Mo will get into that a little bit earlier where all that stands. But just a reminder, as we put out several times before the season, you're only required to have, one referee, the game can be played. So if there's a referee there, even in, I think for every age group, U16 and below, the game can be played and stand with one referee. You should do your best to have 3 referees for each game, but we also understand the situation. For all the 11v11 age games. For the U17 and U19, a game may still be played with 1 referee and it can be played under protest. And for the most part, those games have stood at this point unless the referee is way out of their depth in that match. But again, for 11v11 games, you should be aiming to get 3 referees. U9 through U12, we've always had for the last few years that only 1 is required for those small-sided games. And again, it's recommended that if you can, to just do 1 referee to free those referees up for 3 referees in older matches. And, you know, again, we've had some sportsmanship issues, mainly with, you know, I think Ben went into this a little bit earlier last week. We talked about on an NPL call. You know, there used to be kind of, you know, places where it was coming from that we kind of could focus on. But recently we've had incidents coming from all over the place, from, you know, clubs that would never have thought these kinds of things would happen. I don't know what has changed, but, you know, it's again, this can happen to any of your clubs having a serious incident. And just continue to remind your coaches, your managers, your parents on the expectations of your club. You know, we've been sending stuff out. Hopefully you're sending that on to your families if they're not receiving it. But we really need your help to make sure that we can minimize these as much as possible. Some upcoming league applications. Winter League will be opening probably today or tomorrow. That should be up very shortly. January, the games will start after the winter, you know, winter holidays. So in around January 9th, that time frame is usually when games could start, and it ends by the end of February before Spring League would kick off. For the most part, the teams that are in this are U9 through U14, although we do usually have a U15 division for the 8th graders that are unable to play high school soccer because they're in 8th grade. So there are a lot of clubs that maybe will merge kind of their 14s and 15, you know, left the 15s that are left without anything to do for months and play in something like this. We also usually have some very limited U16 to U19 divisions for teams that aren't playing high school for whatever reason. Also, Spring League will be opening pretty soon, around December 1st. So we have been starting to get some questions on that. So I wanted to get you that date so you can let your teams know. We are looking at some possibilities at new events. Futsal, we're looking at some kind of play date events this winter. If your club's interested in this or interested in hosting, please reach out to us. And then finally, as Andy spoke about earlier, we have our first Super Rec events that we're running. You know, we've been running league divisions for U14 through 16 and U19 in Region 3-4 for a long time, and this year for the first time we had a Region 6 division as well. So now Region 3, 4, and 6. We are running a U16 and U19 event on November 6th and 7th that is already filled. So that event is full. It'll be a little bit of a smaller event to test this out. And then we are expecting a little bit larger event for the U10s through U14s on December 4th and 5th. And that application is currently open and on our website. And if you had any questions on that, feel free to reach out and we can give you some more information.
Hey, Jason, I'm going to quickly, futsal, we surveyed the membership last spring, and we had 80% of return of people that said they would like us to do something in the futsal space. People that are doing it, we're not looking to take this over, rather than to enter it and help clubs that are interested and make it more of a club-based thing than individual team-based thing. And then with the rec, it's the same. We've had large groups, large recreational organizations that have come from other entities into US Club. And one of the things that they have said is that they need these events, these Super Rec events. And then we have clubs that have traditionally not had recreational leagues that are forming their own grassroots program. And they have also expressed the desire for sort of a season ending event. So just a little on that.
Yeah, and to be clear, even if you're not playing in our Super Rec League, like we don't even run U10 and U12 divisions, you're still open to participate in these. So this isn't like anything you have to be in our league, anything like that. You're still able to play. All right, so this a lot of this should be review. We just wanted to show kind of our calendar, like we just talked about. You know, U11 through 13 State Cup. That's going, you know, get really ramping up right now. I will say that for the weather this weekend, we're getting a lot of questions on that. we will communicate pretty constantly. Again, another message will go out to all the teams today, but it would be helpful if, you can have your teams make sure they're checking their emails, because we get, a ton of questions from one person, one team, one at a time about, is the game, are games canceled? What's going on? We always try and play if possible. So, we push it to as much as we can. For this weekend, Saturday is looking pretty good. Sunday, it could be a challenge, but again, it won't be a decision we'll make today unless the fields are definitely unplayable. So the plan is always to play. Again, we'll be communicating pretty consistently. Again, today you'll get another update. You'll get an update. The teams will get an update tomorrow. We'll have stuff up on our website by tomorrow morning, kind of with up-to-date information. And usually if we have any kind of cancellation, it's sent through all of our channels. So it's sent through, obviously team email would be the first place a manager should look, or a coach. It'll be posted on our website, and we usually put something up on social media as soon as we can. So, trying to get the message out there. Some of you that were in our MPL showcase a few years in May, I think it was a similar situation. And, I don't think anyone showed up at the field on the game day, maybe a couple people, but that was it. So again, if your manager and coach has any concerns about, they should be checking their email, making sure they're checking, and informing their team. Just one thing with that, we don't send directly to parents. So you will need to, your manager or coach will need to get that message to parents, unless they're on our social media or something like that. They would maybe get the message that way. And then looking at the spring season. So again, we did spread out the calendar a little bit, trying to keep to one game as much as we could per weekend. There is a break for Easter. So even though it looks a little bit busy, there is that weekend off on April 16th and 17th. I know a lot of teams, actually played this past year when we returned to play on that Easter Saturday. We even had games on Easter Sunday last year, this past year, but that could be a weekend that you would have off. Additionally, just like in any competition, if your team's doing well, you usually have more games. It's just how it kind of is a lot of times. So, if you have a team that's advancing in State Cup, you probably would have more games than a team that doesn't advance in State Cup, for example. So this is the max schedule here for our competitions. Not all teams will play on all these dates, but we wanted to give what it would look like if you are playing on all the dates. So you kind of have an idea of what the max would be. So the one last thing, we have a partnership with VO. And they'll have some free filming of games at selected NorCal events. They did this at our MPL showcase in June. They were very quick to turn it around, and the video was free for our teams after the game, and it was very good quality from what I saw from what we've had in the past. So actually, I'm going to turn it over to Simon from VO, and he's on right now, and he can kind of go through what they'll be doing with us.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Jason.
Sorry, Simon.
Yep.
Just before we bring Simon in, I think there's a little typo on the graphic on the left-hand side in terms of the weekend that we're hosting the spring showcase. So when it doesn't line up with the calendar that we sent out. So when we send out the presentation, we'll update this with the correct weekend. I believe it should be May 21st, 22nd.
Yeah, those two should be swapped. The finals
The
and
State Cup final should be May 14th, 15th. We'll update this before we send out. Okay, Simon, over to you. Welcome.
Thank you. So super excited to tell you guys about the partnership. To those of you who don't know about VO, we're an AI video technology company. And it's pretty simple in terms of what we want to achieve with NorCal. We want to democratize video technology for the masses. We believe, without a doubt, that you don't need the money of a pro club, and you don't need the degree of a computer scientist to get good use out of video technology. So that's the premise that we set this partnership up for. And I just want to play a quick video before we get into the partnership. I will also attach my information in the chat. So it will be at the end of this presentation, but you can also reach out to me on either email or schedule a call with me, and I'd be happy to take any follow-up questions. So feel free to go to the next slide. Fantastic. All right. So we want to help you empower your players, but also coaches in just unlocking their potential. The way we've spoken with NorCal about doing this is first off getting you a better price on the camera up front. So you have the opportunity to get $200 off either VOCam 1 or the new VOCam 2. That's also having live capabilities. So live streaming will be coming next year. Going into the events that Jason mentioned as well. These are the events we'll be at in this year, and we'll come out with a list of the 2022 events shortly. The 2022 events will also have the opportunity of actually live streaming some of those games. So that'll be pretty exciting. We also want to just mention that anyone in NorCal that are looking to purchase 8+ cameras will offer free onboarding for your club. I will be doing this with SAC United coming up, actually showing them how to use the camera, the back-end platform, and everything like that. So just want to offer that to any other membership as well. And lastly, we'll also be bringing in industry experts and doing master classes with NorCal, giving you guys some insights on how they're using their VO cameras. Some of the partners we're working with are PSG, Mönchengladbach, Citigroup, Atlanta United, Austin FC. So a variety of different partners that we want to bring in and give you some knowledge sharing. So this is just a quick overview of the two cameras. The big difference between the VOCam 2 and 1 is simply live streaming. But secondly, I know it says 4 hours recording time under the VOCam 2 specs, but you actually do have the capability of charging while recording now. So I know that's a big solve for a lot of people and what they're looking to do. So we obviously are going to continue adding stuff on the software side of things as well. But we're excited to share the new product with you guys. We think it's going to be really great. So lastly, this is the landing page. You can find that on NorCal's website as well. You can use the discount code at the bottom to get your $200 discount. You're also welcome to reach out directly to me or through any of the guys at NorCal, and we'll make that happen for you guys. And that's my information. So thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, Andy, I'm along with this. We looked at, I think, 4 different companies. And our goal was to pass the savings on, instead of getting kickbacks or money to the organization, first to get some cameras for us to use with our PDP and coaching ed, and cameras to loan out eventually, but to pass the savings on to the clubs. I know most people have cameras somewhere on the sideline, parents or somebody filming. It's a huge assistance for a player to be able to watch themselves play. So if you have the wherewithal within your club and the desire, this is a great opportunity.
And just to add on that, one of the nicest things about working with VO is their willingness to come and provide coverage at our events. So you'll see that, like Simon spoke about at the upcoming showcases and State Cup. And we want to make sure that clubs have free access to those games afterwards, instead of having to pay for individual games to be filmed at our events. So that's obviously a big perk for VO coming out to all our events. So thank you, Simon. Okay, sorry about that. Simon, your links are strong. Here we go. Okay, over to Rick Fullerton. Rick, do you want to give some updates on club services and membership?
Sure. Thanks, Andy. Good morning, everybody. So just I have been employed in this new position for about 2 weeks now, so I'm still getting my feet wet and trying to do some of the responsibilities that Nick Luson had done for years prior to me getting this position. And so what I have done thus far, I'm working on the NorCal grants, which I think all the clubs received a link to apply. The deadline was originally today, but NorCal has extended the deadline for the grant. So if you haven't filled the grant out, an application out, and you want to do that, you can apply up until tomorrow, the 22nd. And then the committee will review the applications and the grants will be awarded by November 1st. The link to the application is on the NorCal website. In terms of club development, it seems like the early part of the fall, a lot of clubs, from what I understand, they were really still in a little bit of crisis management, dealing with things that happened related to COVID, and there was the Got Sport issue, and also referee shortages. But we do plan on sending a survey out to all the DOCs and presidents probably in the next couple weeks, really just to find out what help, what assistance, what support, what services might be of most value to clubs at this time. We haven't really, last year was COVID, and so I think diagnosing what people need and how NorCal can help is going to be an important step before we move toward actually trying to deliver some services that are helpful. New club application process. The window for applications is going to open on December 1st. And this is something that I'm just starting to get my feet wet with, but I believe we have to update that application, but we'll have that done well in advance of early December when the window opens for clubs to apply. And then the new club committee will review them, and eventually the board will make decisions in the spring. RAC meetings, I think it's been a while. I think this is going to be the first time in quite some time that at least a number of RACs are going to meet in person. NorCal was open to clubs meeting in person or not. I know there are several regions that are not going to meet in person, and they're going to do Zoom, which is also fine. There's a listing that's in this presentation here about the details of each RAC's meeting, and I'm still waiting on some final details about the meeting date, time, and location for a couple of regions, but we do plan on posting the RAC meeting schedule sometime next week, as well as some agenda items. So thank you. Please reach out to me if you have questions about any of the information or content on these slides. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Rick. And this one's just a reminder of the different membership tiers we have within NorCal. So most clubs on this call will be a full NorCal member club, which is the middle tier. This year we introduced a Super Rec membership, currently only in Region 6, and there's about half a dozen clubs who are just playing in the Super Rec competitions. The teams don't have access to regular leagues and state cup. And then there's about 50 odd clubs who are MPL clubs as well, with access to the MPL competition. So this is for your reference. This is on the website as well, for you to review at your own leisure. Okay, PDP and Coach Ed. Robo, are you with us?
I am now. I was on mute. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'll try and get through this fairly briefly. There's quite a lot of text here, so as Andy says, it'll be sent out, so feel free to look through it and ask any questions. I won't read it verbatim, but basically, in a nutshell, we're basically fully back, fully functioning as we were pre-COVID, with the regional and state pools fully functional. We're finalising our regional pools kind of after, I say, October training. We have one more. We have a makeup training in Region 8 this Monday, and then we'll have our pools, which we'll announce on our website and send out to our players for our U13s and 14s. November, then they then compete to try and make a playdate roster, which we have all 6 regions come together. December 5th, and then December 6th, we have inter-regional games for the U12. So that's gone. COPA, as you know, our partners, we're bringing our first PDP group to go through the testing. We partnered with them for athlete profiling. That's going to take place November 1st. We're using local players from PDP Region 3 and 4. Again, it's a pilot with a plan to grow and expand on it and tap into the great resources and sports science they have over at COPA. So we're excited about that. We have a state pool games coming up for our boys and our girls. The girls will be in Lathrop November 3rd, boys November 8th in Dublin. The idea there is we're bringing together players who have been doing well at the regional pool or the state regional pool, and we're going to play some showcase games. We record the games. We're in collaboration with US Soccer, some national scouts and college coaches. And then ultimately what we're doing with the U17s is we're taking our teams internationally. Girls have been going to the Gothia Cup in Sweden, playing in the Puma Trophy, which is for 12 international teams. It's high level against some professional clubs. The boys are slated to go to Argentina in August with an asterisk next to it. Things in South America are not progressing quite as well as other parts. So we may end up taking the boys also to Gothia Cup, which we've done in the past and it's went well. U15 state pool early June, which we've done traditionally. It works pretty well. And one thing that we feel, like everything with COVID, somebody gets screwed somewhere, and our U19s, our current U19 04s, they essentially lost an entire year, the opportunity to travel internationally and play in some of these events that I've just listed. So we want to try and get that group together just for a one-off game, just to kind of say hi and bye, if you will. And you know, there's a lot of friendships that get made over the years. Some of these players have been in the program since its inception. So we felt as a staff that would be a nice touch, and we'll look to do that once they come back from the high school season. The ID2 program has changed, as many of you know. We have selected players from our PDP regional and state pools to play a showcase game next Wednesday in Davis. We have Jerry McEwen and Trish from US Club Soccer coming out to scout that game. And then from there, they will make a selection to go to a national camp, tentatively scheduled December 9th to 12th. So format's changed a little bit. They're coming to us versus us sending them to the various locations around the country. So we're excited about that. The list of players has just been announced. Players have been invited. We'll get it on the website over the next couple of days. We had to turn it around pretty quickly given the timeline, but we're confident we've got 32 boys and 32 girls who will represent NorCal pretty well. And we're looking forward to that event. Like everything with PDP, they're open to any coach, any DOC to come and watch. We encourage you to come and watch, because when it comes time to recommend players, it gives you guys a benchmark and a gauge as to what the level is. So feel free to come by. All our events are on our calendar, norcalpremier.com, PDP calendar, and it gives a full overview all the way through until June of 22. With that said, guys, no new recommendations at this point, but we've had windows during the year. We've sent everything to our directors. We have formed our pools for now. That doesn't mean they can't change. Players, every session is an evaluation. So if players are not up performing, they're not showing a good effort and attitude, we may cycle them out and then bring in players that have been scouted at some of our NorCal events. We're working on a scouting program. Andy's actually taking a lead on it. He's getting extensive experience in that department. So we will be scouting the NPL showcases and some of the State Cup games for the younger players. Quite a few questions about 2010s. We sort of put it on hold. We made the decision that the 2010s will cycle in the new year, August 22, and moving forward, our PDP regional will be U13 and U14 versus U12 to U14. So 2010s, hang tight, we'll get them in, and a new cycle come August. As always, we're looking for fields, people to host trainings. I know fields are scarce in certain areas in particular, and we're aware of that, but anyone that can help, any club that can help host a PDP event, we can compensate for fields and offer some reciprocal coaching education opportunities for host clubs. Please reach out to me, and we'd love to hear what you can offer. Typically Monday nights, Wednesdays as well. We know they're tougher, but let us know if you can offer a field at least even once a year would be really helpful. And then last one, we'll look to include our U19s who are trapped juniors in next year's pools. One that the staff felt was important. So if a player is a junior playing U19, they can be included in our U17 pool because they have another year of youth soccer prior to going to college. So one thing that we came to agree on. So again, this will be sent out, and any questions, put them in the chat Q&A. I'll answer them as the presentation continues.
Yeah,
slide, Andy. Please, Benjamin.
Robo. One, there won't be an ID2 national camp in December. The US Club board met yesterday in Charleston, actually last few days. I got back late last night, and The board made the decision. There's just too many uncertainties. We thought about trying to have parents have to fly in with their child to this camp, but people weren't willing to. They just didn't think that it was necessary at this time. It looks like there's going to be no international trip next year. Instead, they're going to do a series of these regional camps that we used to have. More information on that will be coming, but the decision was reached yesterday. No national camp in December. That's one. Two, we will be reaching out to the directors with a survey to make sure we get your feedback on what the PDP should look like going forward. And to sort of revisit and take a fresh look at everything, given a lot of the changes that are going on, including college recruiting and just U.S. national team programs, the MLS Next, what have you. So that will be coming out to you. And then finally, Paulo Bonomo is on the call. He's been the longtime PDP director. The guy was a machine in getting this thing built to the level where it's now, it is the reference countrywide on PDPs. He's taken, he's changed his position from being the director. He now is a technical advisor with us and is still involved in the program, but not at the day-to-day level that he used to be. But we have incredible appreciation for the time, energy, and that he put into this program. And it wouldn't be what it is without his valuable leadership over the last 10, 15 years. And a large part of it is a volunteer. I must say that. So thank you very much, Paulo. And yeah, we'll be following up with something.
Just echo that. Thank you, Paulo. And yeah, he's certainly not gone. He's still there, but not as present as in the past. But thank you, Benjamin, as well for that update. And good to know about the national camp. I have to edit my notes now. Okay. And to make sure we take that one out. Thank you. This one here, coach education update. As you may know, when Nick departed, we hired Brian Seifert as a new, or we in US Club did, coach education license and technical lead. He's collaborating, working with me to continue the really good work that Nick started. Just a little start there. We've run 132 USSF license courses since 2019, and according to US Club and to just the data that's out there, it's by far and away the highest of any organization in the country. I remember sitting in a room, Benjamin was there, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, when we were not allowed to run USSF license courses. The only organization that could do it at that time was USYSA, and we made a sort of Benjamin, and typical Benjamin fashion, stood up and said, we want to be the most licensed coach education state in the country, and I think we're on track to do that. So we know there's still a lot of work to do, but big thanks to Nick and Brian for continuing the work thus far. So we appreciate all the work that's gone into getting this going from zero to where we are now within the last kind of 3 or 4 years. Obviously, we have grassroots D license courses coming up. If you look at the link down below, upcoming courses, just recently we put on our website a link to upcoming courses that are not in the Learning Centre. Just so you know, we post our upcoming courses to NORCAL members. First of all, to the club that's hosting, they get first refusal, then to our members, and then last, if we don't fill them, which is not very often, we then put it in the Learning Centre so anyone from anywhere can see them. But the website has the upcoming courses. There's a couple of Ds, I think, in the sort of Merced area. So if you click on the other link now, you get right there, Andy. There you go. That's what we have right now. We have a couple of courses coming up. Again, these are not public on the they're not public on the Learning Centre, but the link takes you to it. So we have them coming up. There are spaces available. And then we're working on the calendar for next year already. We're finishing a C license right now. We hosted 2 C licenses this year in Davis. We have applied to host 2 more, which I think, given the success of the last 2, should happen. We are looking for clubs to host it. If a club hosts it, you get access to your coaches registering earlier. They must have the prerequisite, and I want to emphasize for any of these courses, if you host a course, you must have the prerequisite requirements to get in. It's not a case of saying we're hosting a C, we get a coach in that doesn't have the D, and it has to be the current or most recent D. We're having a lot of problems with that. So we don't have any discretion about bypassing at any point. So if any club wants to host, it's quite an uptaking. You require 2 full fields and demo players for 4 nights. So if you have any facility that you can have 2 fields for 4 nights with demo players, hotel room, meeting room close by. Again, the perks are that you get early registration, a slight discount for your coaches, and obviously for your own coaches, they don't have to travel quite as far. We are also hosting 2B license courses in 22 in Davis. The registration for these 2 starting early is now closed, but our goal is to continue to do 2B licenses per year. Just note that there are only 8 USSFB licenses annually, and we're able to host 2 of them here in Northern California thus far, which is great. So again, we have 0. The one thing about the B is we don't have any discretion to get any coaches into that, whether it's early registration, etc. Everything there is through US Soccer. So I want to be clear about that one. I think Andy went over the link. Use it. It's there for you. Please mark it. I'm not sure what happened. If it's just my screen, but it went all blurry. Benjamin, is it the same for you?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, good thing is I think I know what's next. I can't see a thing other than. Okay, Innovate to Grow, I think, is next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just blurry. It's like
Yeah, it briefly did it for me. I don't know what it was.
Ooh.
Is that better?
Rick, can you see if I can see you on camera? Rick Fullerton, are you able to see it okay?
Andy, why don't you quickly go over it?
Yeah.
Innovate
There you
to
go,
Grow.
Andy.
Yeah, that's so the Innovate to Grow project is a collaboration between US Soccer. It's a US Soccer grant that they give out to member organizations. So we applied actually before COVID, jointly with US Club Soccer. So it's a 3-year project, joint project funded by US Soccer, US Club Soccer, NorCal, and we've partnered with the SoCal Soccer League, the new US Club League down in SoCal. And it's a 3-year project to provide US Soccer license courses, grassroots and D courses, to existing players under the age of 23, to increase the number of licensed young coaches available to coach next generation of players. So the scope of the project is 60 grassroots courses and 12 D courses over the course of 3 years, in addition to what we already do on the coach education side with US Soccer licenses. So these will be fully funded. They'll be hosted in Northern California and Southern California with the 2 leagues. We are looking for clubs and potentially colleges to partner with to host these courses. But in an ideal situation, a club would be able to sign up to host and offer it to all the players age 16, 17, 18 in your club if they wanted to get their coaching licenses for free. So it's something we're really excited by. We hope it goes very well. We hope there's a lot of buy-in, both in the North and the South. And this is something we can continue for many years to come, so that players not only leave or have the option not only to leave their clubs having a soccer education, but also being licensed as a coach to be able to, work in their clubs or help out with summer camps, or come back to coaching when they finish playing. So if you're interested, we'll have more information out by the end of the month. Please follow up with David if you have an interest in hosting any of these courses.
Hey, I have one thing to
Andy,
add.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Benjamin. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to add, with us hosting the 2B license courses in Davis, David Robertson is a director at Davis Legacy. We decided, and we had a conversation about doing these elsewhere. The last B license that was hosted somewhere else did not go too well. We have full confidence and we've done it. We've already done these in Davis, and we understand that it will make some people have to travel, but we know that we can deliver quality fields, hotels nearby, classrooms, and players. In the future, we will look to bring one of these probably into the Bay Area or move them around a bit, but it's vital that we are able to really deliver a high quality course administratively and facility wise. Otherwise, US Soccer will not allow us to continue to do these. So that's why it's done there, but I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you. And Benjamin, just to finish what Andy said about the Innovate to Grow program, do not reach out yet if you're interested. There'll be an application going out in the next communication. So we're not quite there yet. So
Sorry,
there will be
Robert.
a transparent process.
Call him on his home number.
And thank you, Benjamin, for the clarification on that. And yeah, I wear my US Soccer go through NorCal, and that was a facility that NorCal selected. And yeah, so it's certainly nice to host them locally. If anyone else, again, like the C license, we're looking to offer it or have other clubs host it. As long as we meet that requirement of the 2 fields and the players, which you know, it's reciprocally beneficial if you can do it, but we also know that we're in a very fortunate position to have the field space, which is a challenge sometimes. But again, yeah, Benjamin, thank you for the clarification on that one. And certainly with the C licenses coming up, there's room for to move it around, which is we're hoping to do.
Okay. Robert, do you want to talk about a little introduction to how we're using coaching manual at NorCal? And then we're going to have Reese from the coaching manual come on and join and talk a little bit about the perks for NorCal clubs.
Yeah, very, very briefly, if you got to see the video, which is very, very brief, it just we've over the years, way before I was involved in NorCal, we started coach education, as you know, and we're very lucky to collate and gather a lot of material. We put it on our website, and we know it's there, but it's not always easy to find, hence the number of emails and questions I get. Where can I find the X, Y, and Z? So we were able to partner with them and create this hub landing page, which breaks everything down. And over the years, we're really proud to have accumulated quite a bit of content, which some of you may have seen, but it's organized in a professional manner. It's accessible to everyone. There's still work to be done on it. Eventually, we want to start to use it with a PDP staff where we can post all our training sessions in there for all the coaches to see and review. But it's an ongoing process. It's taken a while. It was one of the, I guess, the benefits of COVID that gave us a chance to really organize and categorize everything, and still work to be done, but it's a one-stop shop for everything, and we hope you can benefit from it. It's free, and you know, it's stuff that we've accumulated over the years, and obviously there's a partnership with Coaching Manual who provide a lot more in addition to what we have. So I don't want to steal, I think, is it Terry going? I don't want to steal Terry's thunder, but from an NorCal perspective, we're really proud of what we've been able to gather over the years, and we've always been open to sharing. That's been the memo from Benjamin and the team back in the day, is we don't say it's our intellectual property. We believe in sharing it and making it accessible, because better coaches make better players make our life a lot easier and the game more enjoyable. So I'll maybe segue into the presentation from Coaching Manual.
Yeah, before we bring Reese and Terry in, just a note that the bottom right-hand corner, everyone should have received this email yesterday. Coach Manual, we're going to put on a webinar tomorrow for NorCal coaches to have a better grasp of the system. So please sign up and join at 11 o'clock tomorrow to learn more. Reese,
and
Terry,
I would have announced that if I could see the screen, but my screen's blank. So thank you for that.
Is everyone's screen blank? Because if it is, someone else should show.
No, it's just Davis.
I just need to punch this. I just need to shake it and punch it.
Too much iron brew for that computer.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Reese, Terry, over to you.
Yeah, I can. My name's Reese Williams. Run the operations for the Coaching Manual here in the US. Terry Barton, our co-founder, is also on the call. I'll probably do the talking a little bit here, and I'll try and paraphrase as much as possible. I realize there's quite a bit of text here. So who we are really, the Coaching Manual is an industry-leading digital coach education platform. Education is what we are at our core. If you're kind of looking here in terms of benefits to coaches and to clubs in general, I'll break it down into 3 pillars for our platform and our app. It's first and foremost organization and management. That's of folders, season plans, curriculum dissemination, etc. Secondly, discovery. We have our training ground basically that you'll see on the platform is the ability to find content, and also, you know, on the platform we do have thousands of pieces of different content on there. And then creation, really, the ability to create personally and also within your own club, and communicate that internally. So all of this is again underpinned by coach education. Andy, probably skip on to the next one now. In terms of basically what we've done for clubs here, NorCal has given individual access to the platform. That's easy to use digital versions of the content, as well as professional content on there that we have already on the platform that we've developed and created over the years, with all levels of clubs, let's say recreational all the way through to the professional game. Under the umbrella or under the NorCal Premier packages, basically we NorCal has secured some very aggressive discounts, upwards of 50% or more on most packages from an enterprise standpoint. And what that means is, if you're interested in bringing your club in to not only have the NorCal access, but also your own club version, which you can have your own identity in there as well. They merge seamlessly. If you're interested in that comes with a few extra pieces as well. And Andy, I think that probably is the next slide there. Probably took, yeah, I'll just touch on that piece quickly. Basically, full coaching sessions. We have thousands of pieces of content, majority of that being video. Season plans, we have an intuitive tool that allows coaches and clubs to create customized season plans for your teams and players, which obviously is one of the most valuable things for us is time. So session planning tools as well, training manuals, folders that we work with clubs on an individual basis to create your perfect setup, to be able to again disseminate your own curriculum, but also match it and mix it with ours in terms of collecting best practices across the platform as a whole. And then obviously the app. I think I ran through that at a decent speed. Andy, I don't know if I missed anything there, but you touched on the webinar tomorrow. We'd love as many people on that as possible to really show you guys the white label version, which is what NorCal has secured, and being able to put your own content on there. I think it's a fantastic platform that you guys have got in place to provide valuable knowledge to all the clubs. So we'd love to show you around it and kind of give you some more insight into the workings of the coaching manual.
Wonderful. Many thanks, Reese. I just put the link to the webinar registration for tomorrow at 11 a.m. in the chat as well, so everyone has access to that, as well as Reese's contact details if you want to follow up with Reese and have an interest about learning more about what the coaching manual can do for your club.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Okay. Referee update from Mr. Mo Shafai. Mo, are you still with us?
I hope so. Can you hear me? Here we go. Well, good morning, everyone. Basically, I'm going to start with some good news. We're up to 8,000 referees. Out of the 8,000 referees, we have 2,000 referees that are brand new. And comparing to 2019, we're short of 5,000 referees. We were at 13,000 in 2019. So that explains part of the problem that we have with referee shortages. Okay, I'm going to just cover the first page that I have because Robo and Jason got into my time, so I'll make it quick. We lost over 45% of our experienced referees. If anybody's interested to know how do we get them back, you have my email address, get back with me. But part of it is we contact them and offer them such things as paying for their registration fee, which is $105, and get some of these experienced referees back. That's one way of doing it. There are other ways of doing it. Also, if you want, contact me and I'll go over it with you. The level of experience and knowledge base of these brand new referees that they're coming off the Learning Center is horrifying, bottom line. So, and it's not these referees' fault, because they go through the Learning Center and they only have 3 hours of field session, and then they are put onto the pitch. So part of the problem is that we need to train these new referees on the pitch. That's the only way they're going to get better. And in order to do that, you, the club, need to spend some time and money and bring in mentors. How to do that? Contact me. I have a plan. We're doing it already at the East Bay Referee Association, at Davis, and some of the other areas. I could show you how we could accomplish that. The next set of stuff that I'm basically going to go over, they are not recommendations. These are expectations. So we could survive the referee shortage situation. Parents and coaches are to say nothing to the referees during the game. I know that's sometimes hard to do, but we really greatly appreciate it if you stop doing that. Parents and coaches should not be approaching the referees before the game, at halftime, or at the end of the game. Please, we're just losing too many referees due to that sort of approach. There's no, the coaches or managers should not be going to the referees asking for their names or their badges or badge number, or where is your badge? Here's where the problem is. All these new referees, 2,000 of them, are not given their badges at the time that they finish their courses. They're supposed to be mailed to them. Some of them may not get them for a variety of reasons. So please don't ask for that information, because it is, again, it's not their fault. And also the last thing is, we're so desperate in staffing our games that we're putting referees onto the pitch where they should not be refereeing that level of the game. And that unfortunately is happening, and we're doing the best that we can. And all we're asking, please work with us so we don't lose any more referees as it is. Right now, we currently only have 6 entry-level course in Northern California. We started really well. We're up to almost 110, but right now we're down to 6. Anyone is interested in hosting a entry-level course that you would like to have NorCal sponsor it, please contact me. I'd be more than happy to walk you through it, take care of it for you, because we're going to need more entry-level courses, at least 20, 30 more before the end of the year. And Andy, that's all I have for right now.
I have a question. Mo, how many did we do in the last year? How many courses?
This year, we've done 33, sir.
Okay, how many do we traditionally host? NorCal subsidized?
I've seen it as high as 48.
Okay. All right, and then I'm assuming you're saying some of the new refs are horrifying. It's like Pep Guardiola coming in, watching me coach. His standards are so high, he's thinking, oh my God, what's this guy doing? Yeah. But the referees, horrifying perhaps is a...
Well, let's put it this way.
Just because of your level?
No, it's because they're not being trained properly. I'm not going to go into the federation and the rest of this stuff, but okay. It's not. They're not
treat them well trained. And give them some time to develop. Is basic message. Okay, great. Thanks, Mo.
Sure.
Thank you, Mo. Okay, we've got some a couple of committee updates before we close out. So, Erin Sharp, Women's Committee Chair. Erin, you with us to give some update?
Yep. Can you see me?
Yes, we've got you.
All right. Thanks, Andy. So, you know, one thing that GOT Sport has done really well for the Women's Committee is it's given us the ability to get information of women currently coaching and coaching in real time, which interestingly we didn't have in the past. So that's been really exciting. We've been able to communicate with all of the women more directly now, instead of having to go through directors and only have a database of those that have reached out to us or participated in some of our events. We just sent out a form, so I do encourage all of you to nudge your women coaches if they haven't already filled it out, to really help us better track everybody's existing license level, their aspirations, whether it be continuing down the licensing path or becoming a licensed instructor themselves. It's really beneficial for us to determine what the demand at each level is, to better determine what all women's courses we are going to host right now. So for example, for all women's grassroots courses, the feedback we're getting at this point in time is that the numbers really aren't there, which in many ways is fantastic. They're not there because they already have their grassroots license. Again, there's a lot of people who have yet to respond, so that may change based on that information. But what that suggests to us is that we will continue to do what we did prior to the pandemic on the grassroots license level and partner with women's collegiate programs, and then also bring in interested women who are seeking that grassroots course. Unfortunately, with it being the collegiate season right now, that means that those courses will be targeted more in the collegiate off season. But again, the data that we get could shift that. So we really need people to take 2 minutes and fill that out for us. The feedback we're getting right now is exactly what we anticipated in terms of the demand for the D course. We were planning a D course prior to the pandemic and had to kick the can down for those obvious reasons, but we were also waiting until a portion of that D course was going to be offered in person. And we are looking to maximize the time that these women have together by doing the version that has 2 weekends that are in person. The next upcoming course that we have, and will be actually the inaugural D version, is going to start in January of 2022. Our instructors are finalizing certain elements of the syllabus, so we will get that information out as soon as they're done here in the coming days. But please note, it's going to start the first week of January, and our in-person weekends will be the last weekend of January and the second weekend of March. And we will couple those weekends with additional networking opportunities for women not even in the course throughout NorCal that maybe don't yet have or don't yet qualify for the D, or conversely already have their D, C, B, etc. So we're really looking forward to that. We've got the Women's College Cup, the first weekend of December coming up, and super excited that it's going to be hosted in NorCal again. In 2019, it was in San Jose at Avaya Stadium. It's going to be at Santa Clara University this year. Quite frankly, I think we could have done a better job as a NorCal women's soccer community to get more numbers in the stands at that College Cup in 2019, particularly considering we had Stanford playing. And so we really are asking for your help to start promoting this now so we can sell out Santa Clara University's stands and maximize it with our youth players, with our coaches, and our overall soccer community. What we're looking to do is what we did similarly in 2019, is to couple it with a coaching education and player education event on the day of the final. The final is Sunday evening, so we're looking to do that during the day on Sunday. We're looking to have a leadership component in addition to a classroom and or field component, so we can layer in players as well. So far, we have Leslie Osborne signed on to run the leadership components. We're very excited about that. And then lastly, we have in the last year allocated scholarships to several women who passed their courses during the COVID period, but had applied prior to the pandemic and had already essentially been awarded that scholarship should they pass the course. However, we have not yet and are just now starting to accept new applications. So please encourage your women to also apply for those scholarships should they be seeking to advance their licensing and coaching education. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.
Erin, quickly, how
Yes.
many, this was exciting to see this morning, how many coaches under 23 years of age do we have, female coaches?
Yeah, we're around 130, 140, which is something
Huge.
that, again, it's massive for us to be able to now pull that data through Got Sport, which we
Yeah.
weren't able to do before. We can now team up with what Robo's doing with Innovate to Grow. And yeah, I was blown away by that number.
So was
and it's
I.
very exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
That's great. Thank you very much, Erin. And Erin's contact details are on the slide if anyone wants to follow up with her afterwards. Okay, Andy Mittler, couple of pad updates to finish us off.
All right, so kind of to piggyback on what Mo said, please stop abusing the referees. We have a shortage. If you abuse them and they stop refereeing, then our shortage grows. And this is especially unfortunate when it's younger referees, because then we lose potentially decades of refereeing out of them. As a PAD committee, we have started to ban spectators from future matches if your spectators are sent off. So if one of your dads or moms tells the referee he's an idiot and he's blind and he gets sent off, then we probably will prevent any of your parents from attending those matches that take place in the next week or two after that. So if you need to let your parents know that, to encourage them to leave the referees alone, please do so. Secondly, coaches and clubs are responsible for their spectators. So if the spectators get suspended, it's likely your coach will get suspended as well. And we strongly encourage coaches and directors to begin proactively working with parents and educating parents to prevent incidents from occurring before they even happen. Finally, while it doesn't seem like we have more issues than before, it seems like people are getting angrier, which kind of piggybacks off what Ben says. So, we're aware of this and, we're trying to deal with it, but we really need help from the clubs to be able to handle this appropriately. And, it's much better if it doesn't happen and doesn't get to the pad. If people are educated and they, go and watch and enjoy the game and leave the referees alone, then we don't even have to talk about this. So that's pretty much all I have.
That's great. Thank you, Andy. And Andy's contact details are at the bottom there if you want to follow up with him on any questions. One other thing we want to show you is this, and don't be put off by first glances because this can seem a little bit confusing. This is a process flow of this is a process the PAD committee goes through. On the left-hand side, dealing with incident reports, on the right-hand side, dealing with send-off reports. So we're not going to go through this in detail right now, but we would encourage you to have a look through this at your own leisure later, because this goes into a lot of detail about the steps that the PAD committee go through and what happens in specific situations. So for example, in the top left, if there's an incident report that includes a referee assault, you can see this gets referred directly to US Club Soccer straight away, and there's an indefinite suspension for the individual pending a US Club Soccer decision. So this is helpful for club leaders, for coaches, for team managers, for referees, anyone involved on the disciplinary side of things, just to know the process, including the appeals process that PAD committee go through and the process taken before decisions are made. So have a look at this. If there's any questions, follow up with Andy or myself. We're more than happy to explain. But we think that this transparency on the process will help people understand that a little bit better. Ben, back over to you. Good of the game.
Okay.
Final. Our goal of the month going on.
Okay. The final thing with the PAD is the members on the PAD committee that sit there are elected by the RACs. So the directors of the club actually elect from the RAC somebody that goes and sits. They're paid to be on there. And so it's an independent group of people that will recuse themselves if necessary, just so everyone's aware of that. Final for good of the game outside of these goals, and there's a few nice ones. The positive impact of youth soccer on kids can't be overstated. I have said it numerous times during the COVID or the pandemic. My hat is off to you, if whatever that means, but I'm awed at coaches that put themselves out around kids with no vaccine or no certainty of not getting infected during this time. And I'm incredibly proud of the soccer environment, from board of directors to coaches to everyone involved in the game, for stepping up. And it's amazing. I actually got contacted by a guy that writes for the New York Times about the GPS scandal on the East Coast. And he was going to do a hit piece on youth soccer. And I challenged him to look at the 99% and the vast majority of players, coaches, and clubs that are doing things properly. And I challenged him to do a balanced piece on it, and he never contacted me again. But I think, in my opinion, most of us are going along and doing good work. Most games pass without incident. Yeah, our men's and women's national team are in the FIFA top 10. So bring it on. We're going to make it to the World Cup on the men's side finally. And lastly, at the US Club board meeting, they kept saying again and again, NorCal is an example, to a point of I was embarrassed and I stopped turning red, although I'm red now. But it occurred to me, it's everyone. I'm going through these names on here. The number of people that have stepped up every day, put in their shift for their team, for their club, for picking up someone from training, getting a van and driving down to Surf Cup or to a tournament. It's everyone here. And it's amazing what our football community is. And I feel very fortunate to be a part of it, to help in some part, lead it. And I know I'm looking at, I know what Shauna, I watch Gabe sit and process passes while he's back in Charleston, looking at birth certificates and the people that have stepped up during this time. Jason spent, I don't know, he had a point where of burnout because of reschedules and this, that, and the other. And there's so many people here that deserve to be mentioned. There's an army behind this, which includes all of you. And well done, and enjoy yourself. It's a great sport. That's it for me.
Nina, do we have any questions?
Just a couple, nothing major. A lot of them have been answered. So if you've been following along in the chat, you've seen a lot of questions answered in the Q&A as well. A couple that came up. Andy, can you answer the first in the Q&A guidelines for teams that we do not allow kids to play down. We do allow kids to play up. So that's that question.
Yeah, Jason, there's language in the handbook surrounding that, isn't there?
Which question are we looking at?
What are the guidelines for clubs who supplement their teams with higher level players?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the situation. I think we have pretty, and Andy Mittler or Pat could also chime in, but if there's, I think in the handbook, it basically says if it's, if you're a team and you're playing, 6 top players down into a lower division, and you're playing it's a bronze division, and those players make your team an obvious gold team or something like that. We have had games replayed. So we have replayed games. Again, it's a judgment call on our end right now, because we also want to leave some flexibility where, a lot of clubs do it correctly also, where they might have 2 or 3 players that aren't getting a lot of playing time with the first team, and they may play in with the second team. And we want to leave that flexibility. But if people are abusing it and doing it just to, smash somebody in a lower division game, we have had replays. We've had actually, I think 3 or 4 this year alone where we've had games replayed because of that situation. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, the PAD has tended to stay away from these issues and making those judgments. So, the US club rule has basically been, if you have a pass with the club, you can play with the club, and that's kind of guided us. If it's a situation where you think it's solely to achieve a victory, then I would suggest going to the competition group and letting them make that evaluation.
So that kind of leads to this next one, which is that someone is asking about clubs that have affiliations, and that players with 2 different clubs are playing in games. I'm not sure if I'm understanding that correctly. That would not be allowed. Only players with 1 single club pass can play in any given game at any given time. So if this is occurring, that would definitely be something to report to our PAD, Andy.
Yes, so there was one recently that was reported on this. I'm not sure which club it was. It's an issue the PAD will be taking up next week. As Nina said, you have to be registered for the club that you play for. So if there are 3 versions of Club X floating around there, East Bay Club X cannot use a player from Sacramento Club X. They all have to be registered with the club that they're playing for, and the PAD will be making a ruling in accordance with that.
And just as a clarification, we get this question a lot about coaches. A coach with a pass in your club may coach any team in your club. They do not need to have their name listed on the match card in order to be able to coach the team on that given day. They do have to have the proper pass with the club. A manager could be the adult standing on the sideline if their pass is with that club. Again, that's one way we allow flexibility for coaches. However, each team does need a credentialed adult with them when they arrive at a game. You can't have, a parent step into the technical area and coach for the day. I think the one other thing about the tryout window, it looks like it starts on a Sunday, according to this year's calendar. Someone pointed out, would we adjust that back to Saturday or?
So it's the day after the last league game of the season, which happens to be a Saturday. The RACs have the ability to change that off a Sunday to a Monday the following weekend if they wish to do so.
That's really, we didn't get a whole lot of questions, which is good. Hopefully we covered the information people were looking for.
Yeah, I would like to, Ted, your question about one incident of racism. And Andy responded to you about that he'll reach out to him. I would like to say that you say steps so we can all work together. I would encourage you. It's something that we're fortunately, there aren't too many incidents. One incident is too many, and we are determined to tackle this properly. And your assistance in this matter would be greatly appreciated. It's a discussion that has happened at the highest levels of our organization and of US Club Soccer. And so we are very open to feedback on how to further develop this part of our organization.
Do we know whether if State Cup games will be canceled for Sunday, would it be what I think that information was given? It will be as soon as we know, it'll be up on the site. Jason?
Yeah, it'll depend on, we probably wouldn't cancel it until we knew the fields weren't going to be playable. So
yeah, unfortunately, we just can't give a firm answer on that. I know people have hotel rooms.
What I've been telling people that have asked that, as I said, if you're worried about the hotel room, it might be, you might have to commute it this one time or chance it, but ideally we want to get it played so you can keep your calendar as is if possible, because obviously rescheduling State Cup where you have to be there is a challenge for sure for NorCal and for each of the teams and clubs involved. So ideally we can get it all in.
Alfredo, when we make changes to the handbook, we generally highlight them if they're a major change. However, this year the entire handbook was essentially rewritten, so we didn't necessarily highlight all the changes. I'm not sure what else to say about that. It's important to just kind of take a look at it each year and go over each section, make sure you're familiar with what's the current guidance. Yeah, I think we're pretty good with questions.
Okay.
You can always email us. We're here.
All right. Thank you, Nina. Thanks everyone for attending. We appreciate your time. We went a little bit longer than anticipated today, but thank you. We'll send out the presentation. We'll send out the recording, and please follow up with any questions, and we'll see you on the weekend.
Andy, there's a question that came in here. Said the question wasn't addressed about, maybe it wasn't clear on the presentation, but 2010s for PDP, we're not going to bring them in until August. So during the summer, June and July, there'll be a recommendation window sent to all the directors, but they won't come in until August.
Hey, and there's one for Jeff with Emmanuel, Jeff Hoven. I too have the same issue, and I have a meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. with the guy out of Madrid, who is going to try and help me merge my private account with my NorCal account. So if that's the question, so let's see.
Yeah, so Ben, you have a call with Lee tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that'll
Yeah.
answer that. That should answer that question as well.
Yep.
We will send out these slides and the recording so you can share them with your members. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Go Dodgers.